Howdy, welcome back to the Addicted Motors YouTube channel. My name is Troy and we are back in the backyard. I wonder why most of these videos are coming to you from the backyard. It's because I've been busy, well, working on my broken Land Rovers. Primarily the white D1 is back in my life, and more on the manual 94 D1 as well. Both have undergone a lot of updates, but that's not really what I was going to get into on this particular video. So again, this is something I really wasn't sure if I was going to film because I was actively working through the Diag on both of these trucks. Now, I'll get into the story here in a second, but it really comes down to D1 Diag and an all Land Rover cooling system Diag. And you don't want to just throw parts at it. That's what I've been trying to avoid. That's why I've been putting off making the video, because I wasn't really sure what direction I should go in. So I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of forum scoring, which, you know, if you're like me and you gotta look things up all the time, some things just, you know, you think everything's on YouTube or on the old forum posts, and sometimes it's just not, and it's not clear. And before you commit to any activity that might leave your truck stranded in your driveway, you wanna be kind of sure about what you're dealing with. So, like I said, when it rains, it pours. When you have one issue, it spans not just one vehicle, but multiple vehicles. You know, my channel's a little bit different because I don't focus on just updates and modifications up on one vehicle. I'm doing it from many different angles. There's not one hero car here, you know, besides the three old Land Rovers, the two Discos, the Classic, the L322. I mean, I've got the 96 F250 Power Stroke, the 911, the E36s, the XJR. I mean, there's a lot, which some of those are for sale. But let's talk about what the current issue is. So the white $1,000 D1, you've seen a bunch of videos on it. Bought it for $1,000, revived it, been driving it around, put a super winch on it, ARB. It's been great until now, and it's not a catastrophic issue that I'm having. This has to do with cooling, so I'm trying to stay on topic here. Here's a scenario, right? Because this is all scenario based, especially when you're looking up problems. I went to drive it 40 minutes up 95 on the hottest day that we've had in a while. I've only owned the car in the winter time. So that's fact one. So I took my parents up 95, 70, 72 miles an hour. That's pretty quick for that car. On the highway, again, I've got the lights and I've got the bumper, a little bit of traffic. I'm going. I've recently, the only thing that's changed, I got a scan gauge, an ultra gauge, that's telling me, you know, current coolant temperatures that I've never seen before. You know, I'm just looking at the gauge, and we all know thermostat opens up at between 180 and 195, so it's kind of an open and close. It's either good or not good. You don't have a lot of middle ground there. So I'm looking at the temp gauge, look at the scan gauge, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. It's like 200, 205. I think 205 is okay. 210, 211. Uh-oh. I see the gauge start moving a little bit. I'm like, you know what? Let's shut this thing down. Pull over, turn it off, let it sit for a second, think about its life, turn it back on, proceed at around 60 miles an hour. It's hanging out at 205, which is okay. And it proceeded like that for the rest of the night. So I have some type of cooling related issue. All right, goes back on I get sort of mixed messages, right? It's not overheating. It's just not properly cooling. So let's talk about what the next steps could or should be. And before I do that, let's just talk about the other D1 real quick. This one is not cooling enough. If I ride it on the highway, I ride around town, I can hear the fan clutch engaging. With the heat on, with the AC on, it doesn't get much above 150, 170. So I think that this one either does not have a thermostat in, or the thermostat is stuck open, which is fine. It's not great. I'm sure I'm not running the engine as efficient as it should be, but that was going to be a whole thing, but it's not as important as potentially overheating, especially because I'm going to leave this to the cabin for a longer duration of time. So, where I'm at, 96, 97, D1, 4 liter, 240,000 miles, lots of miles, probably, I'm going to say that's the original radiator. No apparent signs of leaks. I'm sure the head gasket has a little bit of an exterior leak. I see a little bit of coolant around the block every once in a while. Not the end of the world. The tank is pressurized-ish. The cooling fans do come on with the AC. I've never heard them come on because I've never really run it up over to 11. I think they're supposed to come on 215. So again, I'm not overheating, I'm just not heating efficiently. The other thing I haven't heard is the fan clutch. I think in a video I'll drop in of the fan clutch spinning. It spins. I don't know if it locks, but I still don't think that is the full depth or breadth of my issue. So what I'm gonna do is replace the fan clutch. I already got the fan off. I'm gonna replace the clutch just to see if that makes any difference. Then I'm going to install a 180 degree thermostat. It's on order, it's not here yet. I don't think that's the issue, but it's probably good to do while you're in there. I'm also gonna flush the coolant system and use some of this Pre-Stone radiator flush, just because to see if, maybe this radiator can be revived. And if not, I will probably replace the radiator. A guy I know is selling a used 4-liter genuine Land Rover radiator. So I feel like that's a lot of me blabbing, but it took me a while to, not work up the courage, but get to the conclusion that the truck, it's not a blown head gasket or anything like that. It's just not cooling as efficiently as it could. So we're gonna start with the cheapest things, right? Radiator flush, thermostat, fan clutch. Again, I bought the universal-ish, it's probably 60 bucks. And then I also bought a nice Atlantic British one for the other truck for 120 bucks, just in case once I replace that thermostat, we find ourselves, in an overheating situation. I don't know. I like to, cover my bases. There's nothing worse than being prepared to do a job and just not having the parts that are needed to complete it. It's very frustrating. So I'm not going to show me removing the fan clutch. I've done that before. I've done a video on it. You just get the right tool, knock it one way or the other. It spins off. It's not that hard. I will do the radiator flush, drain, fill, to think that's relevant. I probably won't do it correctly, but I don't really care because I'll probably have to replace the radiator anyway. Like I said, all this stuff looks good. I don't see any noticeable leaks on the radiator. It seems healthy, but I just want to get the temperature down a little bit so I can drive to the cabin and leave it there. I'm just looking for the bare minimum here, and that's kind of what the conversational part of this video is about, because there's just the temptation to do so much things, throw so many parts at it that I wanted to run through this scenario in case it helps somebody in the future. Well, that really screws me up. Look, what the hell is this? This is the new one. That's supposed to be new in the box. That's not. That's old. Jesus. Kind of delays this whole process, doesn't it? All right, so the situation's changed even further. I was sent a defective old used part. So I went to the local parts store and just got another one. So that's what you do. Again, I'm kind of in a little bit of time crunch. So we're going to take the old one off, put the new one on. These all seem tight. I don't think that's going to be a defining factor, but let's just get this over with. It's run out of time. Alright, so while I'm waiting for my new fan clutch, after I've been through 3 fan clutches, let's do a little more digging into this radiator. So again, probably genuine, probably literally the one that came with the car many years ago. So let's kind of just do an inspection to my abilities on what. This is kind of hard to do on a camera, so there's some stuff going on. I haven't seen it leaking. I'm gonna try to clean that off and see if it comes back, I guess. But it doesn't look terrible for an old radiator. Again, my goal here is to do this on a budget. It's a $1,000 truck. I'm not spending money on for a brand new radiator or anything like that. So, we're just gonna try the cheap, easy little things first before we get medieval. So spray with some degreaser, gonna let that kind of soak and see if we can clean that out a little bit. I just want to see evidence of a leak. Not that it's always visual, but I want to see what we can do. Ah, man, so this is gonna make a mess because I've got this probably not great bottom hose that goes into the reservoir and that. So this is gonna make a big mess. So I guess I'll take the clamp off the bottom, pull that hose out, drain the radiator, make a big mess, pull this top hose off, try to run a hose bottom there. Maybe I can and blow out anything that might be in the radiator, but yeah, I'm worried this is headed towards a radiator. I really just don't want to mess with any of this right now. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is called making a giant mess. So I undid the cap of the expansion tank. Got my long extension going down here to the bottom rad hose. And I've got this probably too small catch pan for the coolant, which is gonna drain from the radiator, it's gonna drain from the engine, it's gonna drain from the expansion tank, all into this maybe. So here goes nothing, I'm gonna rip it off. Again, I've got the fan coming in to be here tomorrow. I've got a thermostat to put in, everything but a new radiator. So let's just go ahead and get this over with so I can scratch that itch, right? These aren't a bad investment. I might be able to staunch the flow temporarily while I get things lined up. Great. Now is really just cooling the radiator. So that's draining. It looks good. Let me bring it in here. So that looks nice and clear and good, actually. I like the idea, once this drains, I'm gonna blow it out of the hose, remove this top one as well, and then really try to circulate any gunk out of it. All right, so what I did now is I took the main hose off of the engine and I put it on here and I directed it downwards. So I'm gonna blow water through the bottom of the radiator, through the top to back flush it. Apparently that should help. So I'm gonna try that out. All right, so this is also a big mess. No, I don't do cooling stuff. Just not, doesn't seem like a good time. Top up the cooling system with water. I'm going to add the flush and give everything up to temp and run it. So everyone's going to probably say this is a very hack way of doing it, and I don't disagree, but again, cheap methods for a cheap truck. And I'm just trying to keep this one on the cheap. So top this up, turn the truck on, let things warm up. I might even put the fan in again. We'll see. Yep, so here's the Borg Warners. Remember, I got a cheap one and I got a nice one. Here's the nice one. So maybe I'll put this one, install this fan clutch just for the time being, to see if that helps my case. Now, again, I'm not putting the fan shroud and everything on because I want it to get hot to facilitate the flush here. So I'm doing this for a reason. So right off the bat, the big change, well here, didn't do it, but the fan clutch was locking up a second ago. And it didn't do it right there, but that was good, I could hear it. So, you know, that's a little bit of a suspicion confirmed. Letting this do its thing for a little bit. Also, monitoring the temps here, slowly getting up to speed. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes, got this everything idling. I switched from heat to AC, monitoring the temps. I'm just trying to see how, how high I can get it up. The system seems to be relatively bled for the most part. No major shoots. Trying to coax it up a little bit without driving it. I probably should be driving it. The thing you're supposed to do is drive it, but I don't have time to do that. All right, so where are we at now? We have basically just a new fan clutch and some kind of new water, not flushed coolant. I have flushed the radiator. So what I'm gonna do now, while it's full of water, before I do the thermostat, is put the fan shroud and everything back on and take it for a ride and see if we're observing the same temps. Then we can not eliminate, but just see if there's still potentially an issue. The next step, if that doesn't solve it, will be to replace the thermostat, which is going to happen anyway. It's not yet. And after that, hopefully not, will be the radiator. That will be the end game of this, which maybe I'm doing things ass backwards, but that's okay. It's, again, not costing me a lot of money yet, and it's just, I think it's all part of Diag and cooling issues. All right, so road test time. Got it all buttoned up for the most part. Make sure my gauges come on. Gonna stop running the heat. I just let it sit for a second. All right. So we're gonna take it for a drive with the AC on, blaring, and see what our temps do. We're starting off at 159. I'm hoping that'll creep up a little bit. All right, so we're just putzing around still. And usually it's probably up around 180 at this point, and it's just hanging out at 167, 168. I wanted to get up to temp. I'm really trying to simulate a failure here. All right, there's 168. Maybe I gotta give it some more revs. Now that's the problem with this cooling stuff. It's just, you can't just do it in your driveway. You gotta kind of get out and drive around. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I really want to get this up to at least 195. Right, so there's 179. I really wanted to get up 185, 195. We're probably gonna do it because we're not even at operating temperature yet. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So this is interesting. It was just at 192, 194, then it just dropped down to 188. Maybe the thermostat opened. Maybe it wasn't opening before. I don't know. But it's not, it seems to be better. We'll do one more lap and then shut her down. But that's interesting. All right, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's pull in the driveway and idle it with the AC on. See if it keeps doing that. Interesting. Now back to 195. So, I mean, I don't know. I would. Well, once I replace the thermostat, put coolant back in instead of water, we might have done good here. All right, so it's the next day. So where are we and what do we have left to do for this little coolant project? My new thermostat comes tomorrow, so I'm gonna pull this old thermostat out. The truck still just has water in the cooling system yet. And I'm gonna take this $150 Atlantic British viscous fan out and put my $50 Amazon one back in, because we're going, again, this is gonna be the cheaper build. We now know that this fan works. So yeah, we're gonna pull that out now. And then I wanna get this to a finished product, but I'm just waiting on parts and pieces. So the next step is to remove the thermostat housing in the thermostat. If I can get this to focus, there's two 11 millimeters, which is very odd. Maybe they're not metric, but well, surprisingly, they weren't very tight, which is probably good. You know, all this seems like there was somebody in here. This doesn't seem like it's, you know, these bolts don't look bad. There's no Loctite or anything on them, but you know, I was expecting these to be in much worse condition, and it's really not, which, you know, it's good for me. Okay. Pop that. Here's the old one, and yeah, it doesn't look that great. I'm not a thermostat expert on how to test these, but the plunger definitely looks like it's stuck closed. She don't want to move, so I'll wait for the new one to come in. All right, so the tale of two thermostats, right? Here's the, well, this is not the one I'm gonna put in. I could put this one in, but I don't think I am. It's a Motorrad 180 degree aftermarket one. This one, it says 88 on the top, so it's maybe 188 degrees Celsius. This camera will focus. Thermostat. Oh, there it is. And you know, this one's interesting. It says England on it. It'll focus. Yeah, right there it says England. So I wonder if that's new, you know, or sorry, original. And this is a metal gasket. Just let me know. I'm sure the one we'll be getting is not going to be metal because this one wasn't leaking at all. We'll see. Oh, all right, so it actually, even with this amount of heat, this old one opens. Not a lot. Getting a lot of shadow there. Not a lot, but it does open. That shows me that I had a functional, well, at least partially functional thermostat. So I think we're hot enough. Alright, so the new one is opening up a little bit now. Looks like the old one is completely opened. So that's not the best thing, right? If I had a good functioning, free flowing thermostat, then I've got other places to chase my issues, I feel like. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back and I have received the parts that I need. This one I was waiting for. This Flow Cooler 180 degree 330 series thermostat, which is supposed to be the best one. Here's what it looks like. So we're going to put this in. I just heard from the rover gods that this is the right one that you want to use. I don't know the reasons, but we're going to go with it. So we've prepped everything. We've done everything to the best of our abilities. Scraped off all the goo on that. I've got a gasket. I'm going to put this in fast motion soon, but I'm going to do gasket maker, gasket, more gasket maker, bolted in. So should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I just had to get a lot of prep work done, so now we're ready to knock it out. So that was a bit of a disaster. I initially forgot to put the thermostat in my haste. I'm gonna pull it all off, get it back together. So now it's all in there. I'm sure that gasket could be aligned better, but it's in there, it's secured, and I'll let that dry. Now we gotta drain the rest of the cooling system and top it up and kind of put it all back together. All right, so now we're gonna pull that bottom radiator hose off again and drain out. Again, it's just water and flush in there, and that should hopefully that'll flush what's left of anything that was clogged up in the radiator. So we shall see. All right, so everything's connected, secured. Filled up the reservoir tank, filled up the radiator. We're gonna turn it on, try to bleed the system. I don't know, you're supposed to undo that and hold it up and do all this other stuff. I'm just gonna leave the bleed cap open for a little bit. Then I'm gonna put the bleed cap back on. Then I'm gonna turn the heat on. Then I'm gonna leave that cap off. We're just gonna get things circulating, watch the temps, and do it from there. All right, so checking for leaks. Everything's good. I also dried off under the thermostat so I can see if it's getting any drips. Nothing to report so far. Made sure all the shrouds are on as correctly as they can be. I also put in the other cheap, I finally replaced, switched it up, put the cheap fan back in. So I'd rather it probably be like that, you know, clutch on instead of pinwheeling sooner than later. So let's go check our temperatures out. We don't care about alarms. 104. All right, just gonna make sure there's no air in the system and just monitor that as things heat up. Again, warmer day, it's 70-something degrees. So I got a bit of a different use case test here. All right, so it just hit 180 and then bopped down to 176. It's going right back down, which maybe that was the thermostat opening up. Also, man, it's still going down. Suspend the alarm. 177. It's not too bad. You know, the clutch fan is also, I can hear it. It's on. It's locked in. So it's a different scenario than before. So it's just hanging out here at 176. I might close the system off and make sure we're still good on the bleeding side. But this is positive, just hanging out there. And again, like I said, you know, when your fan clutch is engaged, that's not engaged. So it's chilled out for a second. I don't know if that's open yet, but I mean, temp-wise, look, it's going down. It's going right down. And I've got the heat on, so let's turn the heat. Well, do I have heat? Let's make sure I have heat. If I don't have heat, I'm gonna turn the AC on to kind of get things heated up again. So heat is finally, it must be circulating enough. Temp's coming back down with the heat on. Now we're gonna put the AC on and see if that's gonna affect things. All right, here's the real test. AC engaged, 75 or 70-degree day. Been idling for about 5 or 6 minutes. This is where we do the real test. But those temps are lovely. These are lovely temperatures. I have absolutely no issues with how that is running. Probably just amplified by the fact that I was cycling the heat to get the air out of the system. So here we are. This is going to be the real test. So another 5 minutes of just sitting here idling with the AC on. We've got the aux fans running perfectly. They always did. Let's see what the fan clutch. Not even engaged. Don't need it anymore, apparently. 176. Now, I want to do a driving test, but I think this concludes just the runtime testing for this. All right, so new cheap fan clutch, new nice thermostat, flush, coolant, bled. Sitting here with the AC cranking in the heat for the last 10 minutes. These are good temps. I like these temps. These are wonderful temps. Everybody should have these temps. I still need to drive it, but this is pretty good. All right, so final bit of, I guess, prep and test for this to make sure that it's speed and just around town. I'm not gonna have issues. We started up, let it idle for a bit, get things warmed up. I still got the AC on. About 150 and just take it for a spin. So I've been driving around for a little bit, just hanging out 170. Again, it's not too warm in the day. I trusted to do a longer road trip test now, so that's probably the next thing. Again, I need to get this thing ready so I can leave it at the cabin for a year. I want to do all the maintenance and whatnot beforehand. I don't really want to mess with stuff while I'm up there. I just want it to be a cool trail truck. So I think it's past the test. We'll take it for a longer road trip later. Probably not going to film that, but she's holding temp, she's holding pressure, and the level's good, so I'm happy. So let's say that's a success. Now let's go over before I jump to the next truck, right? Radiator flush, new thermostat, new 180-degree thermostat from the brand that I just posted a little earlier, and a radiator fan clutch, a new coolant, and we're solved the 200, 205, 210 running temps. And we're gonna say this was a success. And now we're gonna jump off to the truck that runs too cool, and then the other one that leaks, and then there's just it doesn't end. All right, so we have the clips going on, and I'm out here, just wrenching, just trying to get this shit done. So this is the green 3.9 disco that's running too cool. Here is the original thermostat that was in it, and I think these are original. I mean, it has the flow hole and it has this little float that opens and closes with it. Pretty nifty. But I'm gonna assume that it's not working well because it's probably stuck in some position of open. It just, the truck never gets hot. So going with another flow cooler, thermostat install. And again, let me check this. You put it in this way, so it goes in like this. And yeah, I've got everything apart, ready to go. So we're gonna put the gasket on. I wanna put the gasket sealer on. I wanna button this back up, bleed it, and hopefully we get some heat. Well, the truck always had heat, just wasn't ever running up to the proper temp. Good evening, we're back with the green Land Rover. And if you might be able to tell, not really, I put it back together. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we're gonna find out. I actually put the thermostat in this time, didn't forget. Got a new thermostat, got a new gasket, got a new top hose, got some new coolant, I've got the radiator cap off, I've got the bleeder open, and we're gonna start it up, circulate it, and see if this thing gets up to temp. Tomorrow morning we're gonna take it for a drive, but I just want to get everything up and moving tonight to have it prepped for tomorrow because I have limited time to do these types of activities, and it's kind of a luxury to be out here trying to wrench and do stuff. Again, this is not for a video, this is because I need to actually get it done in preparation for some upcoming events and whatnot. This isn't just a fun and games thing, I need to get it done. So some things aren't worth filming, and we're just trying to get this bled and see if it solves the problem, honestly. And no ultra tool for this one. I have to use a normal IR temperature to try to guess where I'm sitting at on temp wise. Again, good and bad, right? But it would be nice to be able to get a more accurate reading or knowing what the car is. All right, bleeder open, heat on, cap open, let it ride. Make sure the water pump or the thermostat that I just did isn't leaking, and that's important. And yeah, let it warm up now. Starting off around 72, we'll see where that gets us. So this gauge is just starting to move, which previously wouldn't move till I'd driven 5 to 6 miles. I also have to bang on it. It was a little lazy, but getting it to move right off the bat, nope. I mean, the car's only been running for about less than 3 minutes, so I think we're already seeing some. All right, now that I feel confident that the system is not completely full of air, I've got heat, we're gonna switch it on to AC and get some stress going into this system and get things a little bit warmer. So I guess part one of this whole thing is complete, right? I've achieved being able to get up to temp at a normal rate. My truck's gonna be running at a better operating temperature, but let's see if my handiwork and messing with the cooling system is gonna yield a positive, stable temperatures, which again, I'm not an expert, so that's more what I'm nervous about. I knew that the thermostat would fix it, but did I do things better or not worse? So 140, 184. So I think we're there. I think we done did it. Or if it's going down. Or the thermostat up. I think that thermostat might have just opened up. Yep. So yeah, we're high functioning, people. We are high functioning. Look at that. Temp's going right back down. I think that's a mission complete. Yeah, now that thermostat's opened up, the whole rest of the system's cooling down, and then eventually, distributing that heat, I'm assuming, a little more evenly. So I'm done. We'll check back in the morning to do this on the highway. Make sure the temps still look good. All right, well, that setback wasn't immediately apparent. What that was a crack in a valve cover. Well, in a valve cover, I want to say valve cover, I guess, the metal valve cover where the little screw goes into the head. I guess at some point somebody must have cranked that down too hard. And yeah, there's a little gap. I saw some oil remnants steaming up through there. I thought it was coolant, it wasn't coolant. So I need a new valve cover, but I think that's gonna make me not be able to perform the final test for the cooling system. But I think I did solve it. It did warm up. Got the temp nice. I just have to make sure there's no air that needs to blow out of the system. So that'll be another project. So once you do good, sometimes bad happens. So a bit of a setback. I'll work on it. That might be another video. I don't know. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this was a bit of a long, drawn-out video, but I want to kind of do it for completion just because it did capture two different issues. You know, this one, I still need to take it on a longer trip so I can fully confirm, but I think I got it nicked. It's running much cooler now. It's not touching 200 anymore. I like it around 195. And then this one, again, more testing, more long trips. New thermostat, the old one's probably stuck open or faulty. Running too cool. So, yeah. And the $500 D2 is gone. I got a repeat customer, someone who bought another one from me. Reach out, said he wanted it, so I let it go. You know, listen, no harm, no foul. We'll live to fight another day. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out my other videos. I've got some more off-roading coming up, as well as the Wintergreen Adventure will be kicking off here in the next couple weeks, and some cabin videos. I haven't done some cabin update videos, but that's in the near future. So catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.